Okay, in this video, I'm going to go over what your quiz will be for 3-point perspective. So we're going to start off with the first part that your quiz is going to have you do, and that is going to be drawing a building that is as if you are a worm and you are down at the ground level and you're looking up at this massive building. And so it's going to look like the base of the building is huge, and then as it goes up, with a greater distance from you, as it's farther away from you, it's going to get smaller and taper at the top. So remember, the horizon line is where our eye level is at. So with that, I'm going to make sure that the horizon line is pretty low on the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and label horizon line. And with 3-point perspective, you start with 2-point perspective. So I'm going to have my 2 vanishing points. I'm going to label those here. And we're going to start very simply, just like a 2-point perspective box. And I'm going to make sure that my 2-point perspective box is above the horizon line, which by drawing the horizon line lower is giving me a lot of space up here. So that's a good thing. So I'm going to start with the corner that's closest to me. Remember, the top and the bottom is going to go back to both vanishing points. Now the other side. Okay. Now, at this point, we are going to have a 3rd vanishing point. With the horizon line down here, we're going to have the 3rd vanishing point opposite of where the horizon line is. So if the horizon line's down here, we're going to have our 3rd vanishing point above our box. And what you do for that, to find that guy out, is you're going to take that first initial edge corner that you've drawn, that vertical line, and you're going to extend it up until however high up you want that 3rd vanishing point. And this would be a dotted line in the sense that we would not see this. This is merely a guideline. But this is how high up. It's going to be right in line with this middle edge right there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, from this point, I can choose the angle, however far out I want my angle to be. But I'm going to, from that 3rd vanishing point, which I will label, I am going to draw a line that's diagonal. And I'm going to cross both this line and this line. So now I have one wall of my box. Do you see that? And you see how the bottom is wider and it tapers up at the top. So hopefully you can visualize how this is going to go. I do the same thing on the other side. Remember, you can choose what your angle is for how far out you want. The book might have this done in some steps that are a little bit different sequentially, but the concept is still the same, and this is going to be an easy way, I think, for you to do your quiz. Remember that you start off with your 2-point perspective edge with going back to the vanishing points, and then you get your 3rd vanishing point by taking that first initial vertical line, extending it in a direction that's away from your horizon line. You stop it wherever you want, and then you're going to, from that point, choose whatever angle on either side to establish your walls. Now, these points right here that I have stopped, they need to go back to their vanishing points as well. And in your quiz, it's going to be a closed box, so you do not need to make this transparent. You don't need to show all of the lines that would be in the middle that we wouldn't see. So this is sufficient right here. So this is our 3-point perspective box, as if we were a worm living down here. It doesn't have to be a worm. Yep, there's my little worm. Ta-da! And we are looking up at something that's huge with a big base, and as it gets farther away from us, it gets smaller. So remember that too. There is common sense here as you're trying to think this through. The base needs to be bigger at the horizon line if you are at the horizon line and you're small, and then farther away from you, it needs to get the box itself needs to get smaller. So this would be fine for your part 1 of your 3-point perspective quiz. Let's do part 2. Let's get my paper nice and clean. So part 2 is going to be as if you were a bird and you are looking from above. So with your eye level being where the horizon line is at, and we are going to be a bird flying in the sky looking down upon a building, we're going to have our horizon line way up here. Same thing, 2 vanishing points. Remember, you start off with 2-point perspective. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to draw my initial vertical line, my initial edge of that corner that's facing me. Remember, they go back to both vanishing points. Oh, there it is. I couldn't quite find it. All right, remember at this stage, we find our 3rd vanishing point, and we find that by using that same initial corner, that vertical corner that we drew, extending it in a direction that's opposite the horizon line, ending wherever we want. And just to make it clear, you do not have to make dotted on your quiz, but I'm just to show you, I'm gonna show it to you this way, because that is not an actual part of our box. This is merely a guideline to show us where we wanted our 3rd vanishing point. So I've chosen my vanishing point there for the 3rd one. Remember, now from this vanishing point, I can choose whatever angle I want, however far out, however thin, but I need to draw an angle from there on either side of this initial vertical line. I can choose that one. I'm gonna choose this guy right here. You can kind of see how we're doing like a Superman sort of vantage point here if we're flying above the cityscape. So now remember, we have these intersections. They need to go back to their respective vanishing points on the opposite sides there. This would be our 3-point perspective box, as if we were a bird, and we are looking down upon a large building where closest to us, again, it's going to be bigger, and as it gets farther away from us, it's going to get smaller.